Hi, good afternoon. This is Coach Shanae Pugh. I have a quick coach moment, something that just kind of been ringing in my spirit. Today I am celebrating my husband's birthday, and I just was thinking about how God has really elevated and shifted my thinking on marriage over the years. If you are following my journey, you know that this is my second marriage. My first marriage was when I was really young, and really I didn't understand kingdom marriage. I didn't understand the principles behind it. And so as I've elevated and matured and made a lot of mistakes and hit the wall, the Lord has really elevated my thinking on marriage and the importance of it. And today my topic is really on the dangers of divorce, right? And I'm not going to go into a long spiel on it because I have written 3 books on it. So if you definitely are following me, go to Amazon now, type in Shanae Pugh, Shanay, last name P like Peter, UGH, and you'll find my books there. It's 3 Christian resources for the families who are experiencing divorce, one for the woman, one for the man, and one for the child of divorce. Here's the thing. Divorce is not something that, we often talk about from a biblical standpoint. We have very limited resources. And so my books are really designed to coach you through and to support you through the recovery process. It has also been a place of hope and restoration for marriages on the brink of divorce. So a lot of folks have read the book and said that it really helped them to fight to avoid the divorce. And I've been a product of that. You don't get to be married to someone for the second time, right? This is both of our second time being married. You don't get to go to the long haul, the longevity of marriage without having to fight, in the spirit and in the natural. And lately over the years, I want to say over the last 10 years, the Lord has really shifted my thinking on divorce, because I grew up in a very casual mindset about marriage. I saw divorce as an option because I saw that model for me. And I'm sure my parents did the best that they could, but I just wanted to make mention that, we often repeat the patterns that we saw, right? So we become our parents, unfortunately, unless we begin to break the curves and change our patterns and our thinkings and our behaviors. We typically repeat what we see, So over the last 10 years, I see the Lord has really helped me understand why, the dangers of divorce, right? So I feel sometimes, like I'm not an expert on these things. I feel sometimes hypocritical about it, but I believe that's the enemy's plan is to try to disqualify me, right? But my experiences actually qualified me. So I'm speaking about divorce because I experienced it, right? I went through it. I wrote about it. And now I'm in marriage. And so now I'm talking about marriage and things that kind of lead us to divorce. When I struggled to understand marriage, or why divorce was not in the will of God, He showed me the consequences of divorce. And that's what caused me to begin to hate it. So because I saw it modeled one way, I was very comfortable with the idea of, okay, if this doesn't work, pick someone else. But God has really broken my heart for marriages. He's broken my heart for people who are experiencing divorce. I've stood in the gap for years for people who were fighting for their marriage, my marriage, right? And it has not been easy. But what I have come to know is that if we do it in God's way, if it is in the image of God, and it is truly a partner that God has sent, He will give you the tools that you need to remain married. But we have to break up with the idea that divorce is an option if we're doing it the kingdom way. Because remember, the marriage is a replication of Christ's relationship with the bride. So the church is the bride, Christ is the husband, and we don't see Christ divorcing us and leaving us and picking another woman, right? Or man, or whatever the situation is. I'm not bashing anyone. I've been through divorce. I'm speaking from an expert standpoint. I'm just saying that we have to remove the casual mindset as it relates to divorce, because what we don't understand is the consequences of divorce. So I grew up in a home that, I saw that, hey, if it doesn't work out, I mean, my parents were so cute. They divorced each other and then remarried each other again, right? So, I mean, obviously they loved each other and wanted to be together, but they wasn't sure, right? A lot of times in that. And so I grew up, getting married for the first time, kind of conveniently, didn't want to go to hell, married someone who wasn't ready for me. I wasn't ready for him. Things didn't work out and we got a divorce. And it was not an easy process. Like, I became a single mom. Now I'm raising his kid alone. He actually left, a few days before our son turned 2. So now I went through this panic of, oh my goodness, I have to now figure out who's going to help me with these children. Like, I didn't think about my consequences. I didn't think about how it was going to actually wreck my children, but God in his infinite wisdom, he already knew that I was going to fumble that marriage. He already knew that my ex was not going to have the staying grace for me. So he already had a ram in the bush. I just didn't know it. And that doesn't happen for everyone. I'm just saying that was my story. And I'm so grateful for that, right? I'm grateful for my husband being a part of the appointment and the assignment of my life. But if he didn't come up, if he didn't show up, I know God would have made a way, but that's how God decided to make a way. So in our marriage, we have experienced a lot of hardship, because think about it. Both of our spouses, they were done. They left, right? So we had our own rejection from that. We grew up with parents who really wasn't ready for us. So we had our own rejection with that. We came in with a lot of baggage, and then we weren't in the will of God in the beginning. So we were in sin. So we sold all of that into our marriage. The hardships over the years have been us fighting through, some of the things that came as baggage, right? Baggage claim in this marriage. However, we have sown some righteousness and good seeds, but it has been a struggle. And I won't lie and say you get to be married this long without talking about divorce. We talked about it a lot. And it wasn't here until recently, maybe within the last few years, that we've decided, to really, really pursue God's way. And that, listen, when you say you want to do it God's way, I want you to understand that means an unveiling. That means true healing. That means walking in grace and gentleness for each other. But I've grown to hate divorce. This is a girl who used to be so casual with it, but I personally have grown to hate it. And I believe that that's the part of the process. The Bible says you either love one or hate the other, and he's talking about choosing a God. And for me, I know that divorce doesn't represent the image of Christ. I'm not saying that I'm always this great bride, right? This great wife, or he's not always this great husband. We're human, right? And this is why we all need a savior. But I am recognizing that all that I can do is be all that God has called me to be. And that has brought me so much peace and so much victory. Because as long as I try to maintain and focus on what type of husband he is, I'm losing sight of the fact that I'm not showing up as a wife. And I'm not saying that we're not supposed to hold each other accountable. I'm just saying that that's not my focus. And we're kind of in a rubble right now. Like, we're rebuilding, right? We're going through a lot of challenges and changes right now. Hey, most kingdom marriages are. They'll tell you that, right? If they're being honest, they'll tell you that. That is not always beautiful. It's also a lot of brokenness and pain and healing. And if you have a public marriage, which I feel like we do, not Sarah Jakes and Tory Roberts, right? Public, but just public in the image of who we get to influence. We get to influence our friends and family members to know that God is a restoration specialist, that he's able to do it all, that he can give you love, especially if you messed it up the first time. And I believe that that's the witness, right? The witness on our marriage is important. And so that's why I try to be honest about just some of the things that we deal with and how we were able to overcome it. As I'm coming to an end with this, I despise divorce. I am a divorcee. I'm an expert on it now, and I understand that the reason why I had become so comfortable with the idea of it is because that's what I saw modeled. But when I began to look at the kingdom image of it, I understand that divorce did not come from God. I understand that though he loves a divorcee, that was never his original plan for us. So because I can see how impactful divorce could be in my home, how it can cause identity issues in the lives of my children, break the witness in my marriage and all of those purpose shifting things, those things that would divert us from our destiny. I've grown to hate divorce, and I believe that was a gift from God. So I pray over kingdom marriages that they will be sustained, that they will be encouraged.